lot of you got off work early and made sacrifices to be here. So I'm really, really grateful to have you all here. My name is Effie, and I'm part of Occupy the Farm. We're a grassroots group of direct action organizers, one of the latest groups to fight for this beautiful land that we're standing in the middle of, Albany land that now is owned by the UC, University of California, and to my right is where the UC is planning to build a shopping center with a large parking lot, and to my left is where the UC says they will build a high-end senior housing complex that costs $5,000 to $10,000 a month. We're going to hear from some folks that live here in Albany about their feelings on the development. We're going to hear from some folks that have been involved for many years as we prepare to take action. Who came here for action today? Awesome. But first, to get us started, I'd like to welcome Hermano Pancho, who has said that he would kind of set a little bit of stage for us here today. Thank you, Pancho.
Jai Jagat, glory al planeta, glory to the planet. I would like us to take a couple of minutes in silence, just to connect with that source and why we're here, and connect to the land. So let's just do that for a couple of minutes. Thank you. And that's just a reminder that we're on the side of nature, on the side of radical love. You can see the beauty that is happening just a few meters from here with the garden and the farm, and you can see these dead stumps of these trees. So that's what we are facing now. And just a reminder that it is the first time in human history that we surpass 400 parts per million of CO2 in the atmosphere. This is the first time in 3 million years. The first time in human history, but also the first time in the last 3 million years of the history of Earth that this is happening. So we're here with a larger picture and for a shift in consciousness of why we're doing this. And that I just was biking from Fruitvale and I saw that just 4 blocks from here, there's already a Whole Foods. Right there, in Gilman and San Pablo. So this is not about a store, we know that. So this is a reminder of, again, why we're doing this. We're doing this here to disobey with great love. Sometimes we need to say, of course we all have that love warrior in ourselves, but we need to be balanced with the prophet and the love, saying like, no. And today is one of those days. And this is a continuation again. So there's a lot of wisdom in here. I don't know if you saw the wild turkeys that were there, you know, and there's some deer, and so they're coming, you know, to support this. And so, and there's some folks, I don't know if you noticed it in the back. So whenever they come, let's show that radical love. Whenever they show up and stuff like this, great, and let's communicate why we're doing this. because they have, you know, the University of California, and they have the police, but we have the wisdom. We don't need smart development. We need wise civilization. That's what we're here. So thank you for your attention. And if this is the last time that we gather, or that I see you, I would like you to know that I love you all, each one of you. And it is pretty special. You know, just myself being here as an undocumented but unafraid human being, that's special. So.
Thank you, Pancho. Sorry. Thank you, Pancho. I'd like to welcome Ashley. She's going to speak and has some really personal experience with working with food, working with the population that lives in student housing right here. So thank you very much, Ashley, for speaking from your perspective.
Sorry. Thanks everybody for coming out today. I'm excited to be here today. So I've been coming to Gill Tract for several months. I bring my 12-year-old son. Oh, sorry. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. I bring my 12-year-old son to the Gill Tract to teach him about where food comes from and to be outside and to have something fun to do with him. But also because it's a struggle to afford food. And so it's a place where we can get food without paying for it. And I think that's a struggle that a lot of people can relate to. And I know that the people here at UC Village, even though a lot of them work for UC, a lot of them have PhDs and are very educated, it's a struggle to raise a family here. And there's so much waste and excess that's produced by grocery stores and other like specialty food retailers. I pick up about 300 to 400 pounds of food a week and deliver 50 to 100 pounds to UC Village for the families there. And so it's a huge need, and another Sprouts isn't going to help access the food that we need. So thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. Okay. Our next speaker is Helia. She's a student. She's a student worker. She's a part of student government, and she has farmed on the Gill Tract over the last year, and has some perspective also to share with us today. Thank you, Helia.
Hi everyone, I'm really happy to be here with you all because I'm really happy to be here with you all. I was introduced to the Gill Tract about, I think like 2 years ago now, in a class that Vanessa was teaching, and it was my service learning project, and I was able to go onto the Gill Tract, do soil sampling, really learn from the earth and being out there instead of reading from it in a textbook. And everything that I've noticed is what the university is doing is going against exactly what I'm being taught in my classes and learning in my textbook, which is really disappointing to hear from the #1 environmental science program in the country. So just my personal experiences, how much I've gained, how much it's helped me grow as a person, also, just in terms of academics, it's really a shame to see that being taken away and being developed, especially into things, there's a Whole Foods a couple blocks down, it's expensive senior living facility. And I just think, I was just over there on the other side, and it's just, their arguments are so silly. And I really appreciate everyone coming out today because, it's why I came out today, because I see this as the right side of the situation. And so I really hope that, I hope they don't, develop the land, but I hope that, we all continue to stand together and support the fight.
Let's go.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Helia. Next, I would like to invite Miguel Perez, who is part of a Spanish-speaking beginning farmers group called Hormigas Orgánicas. They started farming over on the north side of the Gill Tract in the last 2 years. This is our second year. And that wouldn't have been possible. None of this would have been possible. This assembly and what's happening over there on the north side would not have been possible if people hadn't stood up and demanded that public space be available for public benefit.
I'm trying to
Thank you, Miguel.
Just give me the mic, man.
Hello everyone. So we want to do something here with Poncho about something very usual in California. So was bailing with them. So, como Hormigas Orgánicas, una organización que se formó hace aproximadamente 2 años, teníamos la intención de cómo aprender a sembrar comida orgánica.
With the organization that organic ants, we wanted to learn how to grow organic food.
Y tuvimos algunos resultados. Algunos de los resultados que tuvimos en Richmond particularmente es que uno de nuestros compañeros empezó a sembrar en el jardín de adelante de su casa y a los pocos meses la mayoría de los vecinos habían empezado a sembrar también comida orgánica.
One of the results that we had was that we have one of our friends in Richmond started developing a garden in his house, and the neighbors got so inspired that they started developing and making their own gardens as well.
Y eso lo aprendimos aquí. Creemos realmente de que ¿a quién pertenece la tierra? La tierra ahora se supone que era de los indígenas, después fue de un señor que se llamaba Gill, ahora pertenece a la universidad y finalmente pasa al sector privado.
And what we learn to propagate those gardens and to beautify our neighborhoods, we learn it here, right here. So the question really is, who owns the land? Because this land was indigenous land, and then it was owned by this brother Gill, and then now it's passing to corporate hands. So that's the question that we're holding.
So, hemos visto diferentes movimientos de resistencia en Estados Unidos, y otra de las cosas que hemos visto es que hay una nueva generación tratando de hacer esto que se ve en el lado norte como una de las cosas que está más cerca del futuro de este planeta.
What we are witnessing is all these social movements in this part of the planet, but in particular, if you go and see the north side, how beautiful it is, and all this garden and this unity and families going there, that actually this is closer to the future of a planetary future that is more harmonious and more beautiful. So,
por esa razón creo que puede ser que no sea legal hacerlo, pero recordemos que la esclavitud también era legal en algún momento.
So I just would like us all to remember that this might look like this is not legal, but I would like you to remember that slavery was legal at some point.
Let's go.
Entonces, para nosotros es muy importante participar de este movimiento de resistencia y creemos que qué bueno que estemos todos juntos hoy, pero qué bueno que fuéramos mucho más y que ojalá esta lucha continúe con mucha más gente.
And this movement of resistance is beautiful, and I'm very happy that we are all gathered here. I hope that when we're more, and we're just putting some seeds to make this movement to grow with quality and big heart.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Let's go.
Thank you, Miguel, and Pancho. So, I think a lot of us are here for some of the reasons that Miguel outlined. Is that we understand that this land has a purpose that is much larger than being paved for a parking lot and a commercial development project. And I think that a lot of us feel that in our own roots, and have sacrificed, as I mentioned, a lot to be here today and to continue this fight. To speak a little bit more about how that might relate to other places in the world, because this is happening all over the world, like Miguel just said, right? I'd like to invite Alexandra from Food First. Food First has been an amazing ally and represents, give it up for Food First. They do a lot of the really not fun work, right? This is fun. We get to be out here in the sunshine. They do a lot of the digging through the archives and the gathering of the data that informs and allows us to be able to look at a pie chart and figure out what is happening in the world. So thank you for being here, and welcome.
Thank you. First of all, thanks to everyone for coming, for being here, for showing up, which is the most important part of the struggle. We all play different roles in this movement. We're all here.
Away from the speakers. Like, away from the speakers. No.
We all play different roles in this movement. We're all here for our own reasons, but we all have those shared reasons too about why this land matters. And the Occupy the Farm and the Gill Tract is really important as a symbol for the people's power of the land and having access to land, and in that way access to food. And this is a struggle happening all around the world in different places, and I know we take inspiration from the MST, we take inspiration from struggles happening, and I just want you all to know that this struggle right here matters, and that it's part of this global movement, and it's part of a bigger struggle, and we're all connected in that, because the forces that are coming in, corporate control and global capital, they're happening everywhere. And this is an important and historic moment for us to show up and to be present and to be part of that struggle and to be part of the movement for change towards a vision. We have this shared vision for where we're going and where that matters, and we can share that with other people and take strength from that. So just to take a moment to remember that we're all connected in this and that we're part of something bigger and that it matters what we're doing, it matters that we're here now. So thank you for showing up. Thank you for all the work that so many of you have done, from planting seeds to writing papers. It all matters. It's all part of the bigger struggle. So let's keep working together and keep building the movement. Thank you.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm really so excited. I'm so turned up, you guys. I just learned this about last month, dude. The earth is like totally flat. That's right. Yeah, the earth is totally flat, I swear. And we all connect, seriously. And those that control.
I've got my own here.
So.
Sorry, we're just trying to turn it.
Oh no, that's fine.
Back up a little bit.
I'm sorry, guys.
Right? You're good.
Right, you guys. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Yes, you guys, and we all do connect. I promise you, the earth is flat. That's right, and we all do connect. They're lying about us going to space. They don't ever want us to see that across the world, if we ever see that the earth is the center of everything, their whole system falls apart. Their whole system falls apart because we know that the system that we hear now is anti-human. It's anti-human. It goes against what is real, what's natural, what is organic. So please go home tonight. It sounds crazy, but please learn about the earth being flat. So, yeah, I know, right? And then at some point, truth is this thing that it's realized, it's not told. Each one, teach one, and have a great day. Knowledge.
Thank you. An impromptu addition. Thank you, knowledge. Oops, sorry, one second.
I mean, like,
Okay, I think we got it now. So the speakers, our final speakers today, are going to be some folks that have held this fight down before I was even involved. A lot of us were involved. I'd like to welcome Tina, who's a farmer on the north side pretty much every day of the week.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming out. I'm actually an Albany resident. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm more? Okay. I'm actually an Albany resident. I've lived here for 25 years. I raised 3 children. I still work in the community. I feel very much a part of this community. And I'm also very aware of the fight that people have waged here in order to keep this land from being developed into a commercial project, but rather to see this land as an urban agroecology center that could be for generations to come. Supermarkets come and go. There are supermarkets that are vacant now all over America, but a place where people can come to learn about how to grow their own food and take care of themselves is something that can be enduring and go beyond our immediate generation, and it could go on to our children and our children's children. So that's where I'm at. I also want to address, I noticed my fellow citizens over there. Hi, you guys. Albany. It's not senior housing. I want you to know that it's assisted living facility. It's a high-profit corporate chain that is putting in an assisted living. It's for medically fragile residents. It's not necessarily for seniors. Second, or should I just stop now? All right. The other thing I want to say, you guys, is we don't freaking need another supermarket. We have down the street, we have Whole Foods, and if you guys want to actually do something good for yourselves, you could actually go to our local natural grocery, which is a local business, instead of putting your money that goes over several states away. Sprouts is in Arizona, for God's sakes. Whole Foods is in Texas. Why don't we keep our money here in our community? Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you. So this has been a long process. People have been struggling to protect this land for a very long time, 20 years. There have been community proposals for an alternative here, something that would be in line with the research and education mandate of the University of California that would serve public interest. Multiple community proposals. Has the UC ever embraced those proposals?
Only after you occupied.
Only after we occupied. Thank you, Vanessa. Only after direct action, people power, was any response had from the university, where 10 acres on the north side was transferred back from the college, from capital projects to the College of Natural Resources. Unfortunately, a lot of people's perspectives are clouded by capital interests, right? That's what we have here amongst us on the side. But there's been a lot of people here in Albany that have fought this struggle, and I think one of the people that can speak to that best is Ed Fields, as he's been involved for a very long time, can quote numbers and tell you about city council meetings. Thank you. City council meetings that were supposedly a democratic process, but there was never really an option given. Ed, would you like to speak? Thank you.
Thank you, Effie. I hope I don't bore you. I want to read a little bit about a flyer for a teach-in. It's called The Future of Our Food System, the Future of Our University. Which vision do we choose? Genetically engineered crops, pesticide-drenched fields and farm workers, hunger and malnutrition in the inner city, or locally grown organic produce, poison-free and available to all? Food and agriculture at a crossroads. Our public universities should be devoting their resources to creating an ecologically sane and socially just food system. Meanwhile, UC's Gill Tract in Albany languishes. A shining opportunity to establish a sustainable urban agriculture research center that could benefit all our communities. Will UC act on this opportunity? will it sell the property to developers? And it goes on. But you can't go to that teach-in because that teach-in was held in 1999. That's the flyer. People have been fighting from UC faculty, students, researchers, and community members for a long time. This proposal has been made to UC over and over again, and they haven't heard us. In 1923, the state legislature passed an act appropriating $100,000, that's in 1923, to UC to purchase land near the grounds of the University of California at Berkeley and for the erection of greenhouses for use in connection with the College of Agriculture. And then in 1928, UC purchased this 104-acre Gill Tract and used money from that appropriation to pay for it. 36 acres were available to the College of Agriculture, which is now the College of Natural Resources. But now there are only 10 acres. And as has already been said, that's only because of Occupy the Farm. I stood here and watched in 2009 when UC destroyed those greenhouses and laboratories, which were on this site, where they now want to build a supermarket. And in February, we watched as UC had the trees of the Gill family arboretum destroyed. Since at least 1997, students, faculty, and the community have been fighting to preserve the remaining open space at the Gill Tract for urban agriculture, research, education, and farming. As Albany citizens, I and others participated in the city's consideration of this development project since 2007. We went to meeting after meeting after meeting, but our voices were ignored. The City Council supports this development as business as usual. But business as usual is leading to the destruction, the extinction of species on this planet at an alarming rate. Business as usual is making the earth uninhabitable for our own species. We know that agroecological farming restores carbon to the soil. Paving over land for a supermarket with 130 parking spaces only increases greenhouse gas pollution. We oppose business as usual. President Napolitano of UC has proposed a global food initiative. That initiative should start at home. Save the Gill Tract.
Damn, thank you, Ed. All right, our last speaker is Antonio. He has been involved with the Gill Tract for a long time himself, has been involved with Occupy the Farm, has been involved on the ground, and also as an academic, if I can use that word, if you don't mind.
No, scholar.
Scholar, there we go. Thank you, Antonio.
So I'm going to try to keep this very, very brief because there's been a lot of people speaking and speaking to good things. So I just want to mention sort of my personal reasons for still being here and supporting this struggle, as well as why I think it's important sort of more broadly. So as an urban agriculture activist who's not from Albany, I'm sorry, I actually don't live in Albany, but it still matters to protect this land because urban agriculture is something that is transforming this country and should be continually supported, and we need places to do research that pertains to our particular issues as urban agriculturists. So the fact that some of this land might be toxic, as has been pointed out, this is not the best land. Well, actually, some of it's really great land. Some of it might have problems, but that actually provides us an opportunity to learn and apply that knowledge elsewhere in this country. So it's not about your narrow interests as an Albany resident. It's about the interests of our state, of our Bay Area, of the planet, etc. So this narrow argument that if you're not from Albany, you have no stake in this land is total BS. All right. Secondly, it's important, much broader, because this is an issue. Yeah, right on, what she said. So the second aspect is privatization. We know that this land is owned by a public entity, the University of California. If you are a California resident, that is your land, right? And then we are being told that it is sensible and the only way forward to pave over that land and give it over to corporate interests who are going to make private profit from it. So we're being told that that's the only option because it's the only thing that makes sense. This guy over here keeps talking about tax revenue, the importance of tax revenue, as though all of this initiative, the ideas, the brilliant ideas we have as students, as community members, as activists, to activate this land as an urban agroecological research and education station, as though that has no tax impacts. As though we don't have an idea about what economics should be about. Not what it's about in the narrow corporate capitalist sense, but what it can be about with people, right? So this is not just about this particular land, it's about privatization, which is happening around the world, and it's happening all over our country. So that's a second issue. And I guess the third issue is about this notion that they're trying to promote that somehow Occupy the Farm is undemocratic. That somehow, because we have decided to not put up with the corporate-controlled power structures that decide to develop the land, that somehow we are against the people's interests, right? So I think we need to remember that throughout history, and right this moment, and right over there, direct action gets the goods. When we stand up and we say, no, we won't put up with a BS democratic process that's not actually democratic, that doesn't listen to Albany residents, right? That promotes the interests of certain Albany residents who claim to represent the community, when in fact that community isn't unified about what to do with this land. And instead of acknowledging that, they try to tell us that we're anti-democratic because we're trying to preserve the land for a community process to determine what to do with the land. So their arguments have no standing, and we have history on our side, so let's do this.
Okay, take on the task of talking about what we're gonna do today, right now. Before I do, I just want to make sure that everyone here can read, right? It says University of California right there on the blue signs, right? Doesn't say Albany, does it? Who here is from California? All right, good enough. It also says no trespassing, right? And it's kind of interesting that the idea that you can trespass on your own land. But we knew that when we put out the call for this gathering, that the UC was going to basically think, oh, occupy the farm, they're going to occupy the land again. Well, actually, and it's probably the first they've heard of it, we're not going to occupy the land right now. We are going to save that land and take that land and put an urban farm, an urban agriculture center there. But today, what we wanted to do is pull together as a community now that the lawsuit is over, now that it's not holding back the development anymore, and really get back to our roots and take the message back to the streets and back to the community. So what we're going to do is we're going to march. We're going to march. We've got some props. We've got some signs. We've got these masks, which a lot of us are going to don. Say 6,500 on them. That's the number of cars this development is going to bring in addition to what's already on this road, what's already on this highway, what's already affecting this community, and that's not counting the diesel trucks. And you spew that in the air, you put that in the air, Berkeley, you can throw a rock and hit Berkeley. This is not just about Albany, it's about this neighborhood, it's about everybody in it. So we're going to get in the streets. We got some flyers. Can someone hold up one of those? We think it's really important that people in their cars get this message. We think it's really important that people on the street get this message. They know what's about to happen here, that this land, this beautiful open green space, is about to be turned into a parking lot. It's about to be turned into a pollution-producing corporate mini-mall. So we don't want that. There's going to be 2 banners. We want you to line up, get behind those banners, support those banners, get them out and visible in the community, and stick together.